The Marvel Cinematic Universe is without a doubt the most influential franchise in the world right now. Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter were the major forces at the turn of the century, but then Marvel came up with their movies in 2008 and captured the imagination of the entire world. From I Am Iron Man to I Am Iron Man, everything changed. Over the years, we've grown to love our heroes, and one of our favorites is Thor, the god of thunder, breaker of chains, mother of dragons. Oh, no, scratch that, wrong universe. Anyway, we've made a video of Thor being Thor for 10 minutes straight.
Because that's what heroes do.
Starting off the list, we have Thor becoming worthy. To start off the list, we have the moment when Thor becomes, well, Thor, really. From being a spoiled brat to holding the power of the hammer, the first Thor movie was basically a coming-of-age drama for our 1,000-year-old god. Anyway, the scenes we're talking about is the climax of the movie when Thor, stripped of his power, faces Loki's destroyer. To no one's surprise, the destroyer bitch slaps Thor across the road and he's more or less dead. But this one single act redeems him completely. The arrogance in him is gone. As a powerless man, he's ready to sacrifice himself just to protect humans. So if you ask me, that's a pretty godly move. And thankfully, Odin agrees. A bedridden Odin drops a tear, feeling his son's impending doom, and he realizes that Thor is finally worthy of Mjolnir and gives his powers back. The hammer becomes Thor's personal doctor come fashion designer as the dead Thor comes out as the shining god. Instead of raining thunder on the destroyer, he decides to summon a cyclone instead. Weird move, but it looked cool, so we're not going to complain, are we? Thor defeats the monster like the total god he is, and the entire scene was both touching and exciting. Jane Foster was every one of us when she said, "Oh my god!" At number 9, we have Thor vs Hulk, round 1. The thing is, if it's a Hulk fight, it's gotta be exciting, doesn't it? There really is no other way. Subtlety is not the strongest suit of the green monster. So in this scene in Avengers Assemble, Hulk goes on full Hulk mode and snaps at Natasha. Black Widow does her best to protect herself, but there's only so much you can do when Hulk decides that he's gonna kill you. The moment Hulk's about to hit her, Thor tackles Hulk away from her. A great fist fight follows, but the raging monster absolutely demolishes the god with just a single blow. Now it's time for Thor to get angry. The Hulk charges in and Thor summons Mjolnir and boinks Hulk across a helicopter. Thor hitting a home run with Hulk is what we live for. We can watch this scene over and over again. Of course, it's a different story that Hulk then went on to beat Thor to a pulp, but look, Thor's gonna have another chance in round 2.
Your world and your family will be extinguished!
There are many things that are wrong with Thor, The Dark World, but the final battle between Thor and Malekith wasn't one of them. A film ridden with cliched stuff and lazy writing was somewhat redeemed by the final battle. Now, these few minutes were everything that the rest of the movie wasn't. It was entertaining, action-packed, and even the threat felt real for a change. Malekith is the typical Marvel villain, the boring bad guy that dies at the end. But at least the VFX were top-notch. Thor 2 introduces us to the Ether, which later turned out to be the Reality Stone. Malekith wants to take control of it so that he can bring eternal darkness to 9 realms. Now this fight is pretty rad. Thor and Malekith keep transporting themselves to other dimensions, and the suspense is just spot on. And finally, in a typical God of Thunder fashion, Thor strikes him with lightning and a decapitated Malekith is crushed under his own empire. Literally.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
At number 7, Thor goes for Thanos' head. Now it's time for some guilty pleasure. To see the dramatic end of a mass murderer and a PhD holder in existentialism must be quite eventful. The Avengers spend the whole of Infinity War trying to stop Thanos, but as you already know, you can dread it. You can run from it. The destiny still arrives, doesn't it? Big Daddy Thanos arrives in Wakanda and Thor has a chance to kill him, but instead of going for his head, Thor went for the heart of Thanos. Turns out the Titan biology wasn't Thor's elective in school. Anyway, Thanos escapes and Thor waits for years to redeem himself. In Endgame, the Avengers have their chance in the garden, but before anyone can do anything, Thor swings through his Stormbreaker and cuts Thanos' head off in a split second. It was a sight we'd been waiting to see for years, and it finally happened. Now, we know Thor doesn't actually kill Thanos, but it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? Next up is HELA versus Thor and Loki. Okay, look at it this way. If Thor was a Pokemon, he would have evolved from a Charmander in Thor 1 to a Charizard by Ragnarok. But it takes a HELA to stop a Thor. The scene we're talking about here is significant for two reasons. 1. Odin meets his end, and 2. The goddess of death arrives. Thor and Loki meet Odin the last time, and the emotional exchanges between father and son are heart-wrenching. But before we can recover from Odin's death, HELA appears. We're told that she's Odin's firstborn, the sister of Thor, and quite frankly, she's crazy. And what's up with all mad queens always wanting you to kneel? How's that fair to the people of Asgard and Westeros who have arthritis? It's not right, is it? Anyway, Thor does his regular thing, grabs his hammer, throws it at her, but she destroys it the way Amber Heard destroyed Johnny Depp's career. This is the first time we come to realize what HELA's capable of, destroying the indestructible Mjolnir in just a second. This sets up a soul-searching arc for Thor later, and HELA's claim to the throne is practically unchallenged. The moral of the story is, no matter how crazy powerful you are, there's always a crazier sister of yours that you didn't even know about. Just ask Sherlock.
I'm Odin's firstborn, the rightful heir, the savior of Asgard. And you're nothing.
Thor, Cap, and Iron Man versus Thanos comes in next. We already know Thor finally went for the head, but things didn't turn out nicely because of that now, did they? Thanos turned himself into Doctor Who and time travels to the future to beat the Avengers again. Finally, it was time for the trio of original Avengers to face him again, so Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor team up to kill him properly this time. A Viking Thor summoning thunder with Stormbreaker and Mjolnir? Sweet! Thunder and lightning fly, and so does the hammer and axe as Thor rains heavens on Thanos. Thanos is still Thanos though, so he's still pretty much unbeatable. But for what it's worth, Thor versus Thanos was a fight we would pay to watch again and again and again. But without a doubt, the most memorable moment of that sequence comes when Captain America picks up Mjolnir.
I knew it.
At number 4, we have Thor versus Hulk, Round 2. We told you earlier that Thor will get another chance against Hulk in Round 2, and boy, he didn't disappoint. Sure, if we go by the technicalities that Hulk won again, but hey, it's the moral win that counts, right? Thor lands in Sakaar where he has to beat the reigning champion in the fighting pit, and his opponent is none other than the Incredible Hulk. Thor's visibly ecstatic to see his friend from work, but he's friends with Banner, not with Hulk, so the battle rages on. Hulk smashes and Thor retaliates. Thor even tries the, hey, big guy, sun's getting really low thing on Hulk, but we know Thor is definitely no Natasha. Hulk beats Thor to a pulp once again, just like he beat the living daylights out of Loki in Avengers Assemble. The pain was real for the puny god, and so when Hulk beats his brother the same way, Loki knows how it feels.
That's how it feels!
I'm just a huge fan of the sport.
Thor finally invokes the god in him and rains thunder on Hulk. Even though the Grandmaster cheats at the end, we'll give this round to Thor. Up next, Thor takes the blast of a full star at Nidavellir. This is the one moment where we don't just see the god, but the true hero that Thor really is. HELA already destroyed Thor's hammer, but you can't challenge Thanos to a fist fight either. So, what do? You go and look for the creature who made your hammer and Thanos' gauntlet. Thor meets Eitri the dwarf at Nidavellir, which is basically a neutron star with a protective ring around it. Thor comes here as the broken Asgardian, reduced to nothing. He's lost his mother, his father, his brother, his planet, and of course, his hammer. And now it's time for him to show what he's truly worthy of. To make the Stormbreaker, Eitri needs the energy of the star. So in order to do that, the iris of the machine needs to be opened. Thor himself manually opens the portal, and the full force of a goddamn neutron star flows all the way through him. He's burnt to a toast, but he keeps hanging in there. By the time the weapon's finished, our God of Thunder is almost dead. It's Stormbreaker that runs thunder through Thor and brings him back to life. The sheer willpower and commitment Thor shows heroes in Nidavellir is nothing but inspirational. Tragedy separates heroes from men, and Thor, my friends, is a true hero. In at number 2, the God of Thunder lands. The moment that changed Thor forever. The true God of Thunder lands on Bifrost. In all those years, we've seen Thor constantly searching for his true self, unsure of his destiny. Turns out all he needed was a pep talk from his dead father. When Thor breaks down saying he can't beat HELA without his hammer, Odin asks,
Are you Thor, the god of hammers?
Damn! Odin should have been a professional roaster, seriously. Anyway, Thor sheds off his defeated despair and rises to his one true calling, thunderbolts. Lightning shoots from his eyes, hands and hair as Thor single-handedly decimates Hela's army. This was the scene we've been waiting to see for years. He went from the guy who weareth her mother's drapes to the guy who says, your daughter calls me daddy too.
Damn you, Stark.
And how awesome was that immigrant song in the background? Whoever selected Led Zeppelin as Ragnarok's BGM deserves the coolest person in the world award.
Hit it with a lightning blast.
I just hit it with the biggest lightning blast in the history of lightning. It did nothing.
And finally, at number 1, we have the Bring Me Thanos scene. Ragnarok completely changed how we saw Thor. Infinity War then broke him down again, and he came out as an even cooler god. After Thor gets a new lease of life at Nidavellir, he returns to Earth where he's a god on a mission. The god who will kill the Titan. Armed with Rocket Raccoon, Groot and Stormbreaker, Thor lands in Wakanda as what could be said as the coolest superhero landing ever. Even Deadpool would agree with that.
Oh, that is so not practical.
He activates the angry Norse god mode and lightning blasts the last atom of Thanos' army. Even Thanos can't challenge God's rage anymore. Yeah, we know Thor goes for Thanos' heart and then Thanos goes for a run, but still, whenever Thor appeared on screen during the Wakanda battle, we knew shit was about to go down.
Your haircut? Notice you've copied my beard?
In comparison to other popular Avengers like Captain America and Iron Man, Thor did have a bit of a slow start. The Shakespearean vibes of the first 2 films didn't help his cause either. But with Ragnarok, Taika Waititi invented the God of Thunder that we deserved. He was cool, he was funny, and he could actually shoot lightning at his own will. The Russo brothers continued the trend and gave Thor some of the most memorable moments in Infinity War and Endgame. And in the last few years, our love for Thor has skyrocketed. And with Love and Thunder, we'll get to see more of our favorite Avenger. So comment below and tell us what your favorite Thor moment is, and let the dark magic flow through your veins once again as you like and share the video with your marvelous friends and all the noob masters around the world. Subscribe to our channel TV Regent because quite frankly, that's what Thor would want you to do.